Now, back to the problem at hand. We're going to make this into an acolyte complex where there's a library and kitchens and dining rooms and all those kind of wonderful things that we require. Our Lord is going to be spying through here, as we said, so pull out a little bit, make sure my brush is set to 6, and carry on. So this will be the Lord's private chamber, and I feel it should, to a degree, emulate, to some degree anyway, the shape of the main temple. No, what did I do? What did I do? Delete. Like I said, delete is your friend. And stroke path, delete path. Okay, so this is his kind of chamber. And let's just finish this off. Okay, I can live with that. Nice bit of symmetry. That's his main chamber. It gives him access to these 3 spaces down here, which function as his rooms. If you have an audience with him, you'll come out through here into perhaps his secretary's space. And the secretary will need to go and check on food and that sort of thing. Then from there, you would come into this corridor. We're going for a different look. Stroke path. Delete path. All right. So you'd go into the master's chambers here. Would he want you in his grand private chamber? No, I don't think so. So he will have an office. That leads there. Stroke path. And you don't have to click on the line either. You can click anywhere and delete and stroke and do as you wish. I can tell you now this must go away because we want 5-foot walls everywhere. Okay. This is to the acolyte's chamber, into the master's chamber, into his private chambers, which is fine. Now, let's make it interesting for our players, observant players. Back to brush tool, brush size 3. Pen tool. It will be a secret door that leads into his chambers on this side. And a secret door here. So when they are in here, they can see the eyes looking through, and then have to try and figure out how to get in there or get to that space. I think that just makes it a bit more interesting. While I'm here, let's just fill up this quickly. There we go. Okay. So there's our reception room for our Lord plus our secretary. Now, once you've finished the ceremony, kindly head through those 2 doors and brush tool size 6. Head through those doors into an equally impressive dining space. And we'll have restroom No. We'll have restroom facilities off of the north there, perhaps. The kitchens will need a double entrance, without doubt. I love this instrument. My brain's gone blank as to what it is. I want to say zither, but it's not plucked. This is struck. The name will come to me eventually, or some kind soul can put it in the comments. Not a mandolin. Anyway. Very Arabic in its feel. Alright, so there's a dining chamber. This is leading into the kitchens. So now it's starting to become academic. That won't lead to the kitchens. That would be unhygienic. That will come up to there. Delete path. Do we have an entrance up there? Yes, we do. Thank goodness. Now, why would we need an entrance up there? Well, we need an entrance up there for a few things. One, once our guests are finished, they can go through here and into there. In here, we're going to have a little room where our guests will be encouraged to leave donations. After all, running a temple does cost a significant amount of resources, and it's only fitting that they contribute. So, there's a chamber in here now, which will grant you freedom once you have done what you need to do. Into the outside world. But at the same time, this is still a functional space. We need to mirror our guard post. But then I don't think they'd have anything else there. Alright. This is, we've said, a restroom of some kind. So let's make it that. Let's just fill it in there. We'll put a water basin in there to indicate its status. Let's do that. That one, this one, that one. All need to be filled. Back to cave. Alright, so dining room leads us into kitchen. Kitchen needs to, via this line here, the kitchens need an access point for foodstuffs to be loaded into. It might also imply that somewhere here again, control key. This is a lovely piece. Elk, ancient chamber, waking the dead. Alright, so this might need to be a secret exit. Or not so secret if you've worked in the castle for as many years as poor old Judith, the cook's wife. Now, this hasn't collapsed, and we'll figure that little conundrum out when we get there. But for now, I'm just going to do that. So food would come in here. We've got a guardhouse on this side. We've got a guardhouse on that side, just to make sure that it's all above board and regular. Stroke path, delete path, routine, routine, routine. Now, why did I do this funny thing here? Truth be told, I don't have a clue. So what I'm going to do is mirror it on this side and turn it into a trap. Now, we don't want anybody to just walk into our grand temple. So this way, we make sure that those that exit normally are fine. Guards and things can be based here to keep out the riffraff. And in here will be some kind of gigantic slicing tool, simply to keep things interesting, as will this be a room where those that don't contribute don't ever make it out. This leads us down here into the kitchens, as I said before. There's a corridor that leads off here, which will lead into a series of chambers for our staff. To live in, various rooms. Down here will be the matron's quarters. And on the other side, guards' quarters. Leading into storage chambers, ultimately leading into kitchens, that's looking about right. Yes. Selection tool, select this area and fill it up. I find that by filling up these areas, it helps you, especially when you zoom out, to get a visual sense of the amount of space that you've got. Especially if you sort of squint your eyes, you get to see the amount of space that's taken up by rooms versus the amount of space that's taken up by supports and things. And you want that to be a fairly decent mix, fairly decent balance. So these catacomb-like rooms are starting to come into their own here, which is quite nice, I think, anyway. Make sure we're on the right layer. Back to our pen tool. All right, so this is our kitchen. Kitchens lead into larders, but they also lead elsewhere. As is the case here. It's not big enough for a room, really. Delete path. Alright, so there's a kitchen with a larder space. Perhaps we need fresh water storage. No, we've got a river flowing by. That we don't have to worry about. Alright. I agree, we don't have to worry about it, my lord. The need for rooms. We wanted this to feel like it's a functioning space. Alright, and then the last room would be right here at the end. What's in this last room? Again, it depends on how adventurous your party is and how much time you spend exploring these kinds of spaces. So there's just a room down there for them to explore. All right, so that effectively cuts off the administrative side. The kitchens, the cook spaces, the pantries, the dining room perhaps here for the kitchen staff, and that kind of thing, as well as protection to keep people out of the main temple itself. Until, of course, you get here, then you've got free access everywhere. Okay, now we get down here to, again, this is the dining hall, so important meetings might need a small state room down here. Just in case, you know, there's something important that one wants to discuss, but one doesn't want to discuss it in the master's chambers. A plan of some sorts. I'm going to finish that off. Not sure, really. Okay. So there's that, and of course it allows all the communication that we wanted to do. I'm going to neaten this up. You can see that's not going to be used for anything. Okay. This can be, if we wanted to, a small holding chamber. Control to move that control point, just to square it up a little bit. Delete path. Oh, let's come down into this room here. And I've got a plan. To delete my lines. No, stroke path. Delete path. We've established that this cult, or whatever it is, has an affinity for water. As a result, I'm going to have a few chambers. Let's do that. That touch the lake. Not sure for what yet. Maybe the faith talks about the cleanliness of waters, something like that. Yeah, that'll work. All right. I'm just looking to see if we've got any gaps here, and there's something interesting happening here. There's a corridor that leads to nowhere. That's why, for me, it's very important to fill in those gaps once we get there. Okay, back to our freehand. Wrong way. Control minus to zoom out. Control plus again to zoom in, because I need to be able to see where I'm going. And we're just going to create a bay here. That they have built onto. Welcome to the bazaar. Here, anything your heart desires. Sorry, I'm listening to the music. It inspires stories. Call me crazy. Put that in there. So it's almost like this is a private little lake, which I quite like the thinking of. Alright, so we've got that entrance, we've got that entrance, we've got that entrance. Do we need another entrance? Well, I always like to have options. I always like to give my players ways of getting into these spaces that I've designed. Otherwise, the last hour and 10 minutes has been a complete waste, which is something that we don't want to do. So, popping in, we're going to come down here. We're going to finish this off. Let's do that. And I break away from the main flow. Because we'll put in a little cave system into here. So that if your players are wandering through dungeons or through mountains and they come across a cave and you want them to go somewhere, well, here's your perfect opportunity to introduce them to Mordor, to the mines of Moria, if you were so inclined. The music seems to be quite happy with that, so yeah, I'll go with that. Okay, again, you just want an organic shape as the water permeates through. And you want chambers where you can have a nice, interesting battle. And that allow the players to explore and get lost in. Alright, so we'll just finish off down there. There we are. Okay. Let's do some stalactites. This is quite a claustrophobic little space, actually. On this side. Nice big combat. As they enter into there. They can try and sneak round it if they like. Give the thief something to do. I'm always a fan of that. Letting the characters decide how they're going to make their way through here. Let's put in one last chamber here. You can never have too many sort of chambers, I think. They don't have to be full of anything. They can literally just be chambers. Now, one chamber that I had in Bacon RPG, as a matter of fact, was a chamber where the players came across these growths, these root-like growths, which if they allowed or if they stood too long in would actually consume them and grow over them. And that was quite an interesting challenge for them to overcome. I think the drow actually overcame it for them. Alright, so I'm going to have my entrance here. Into this cave-like structure. I'll put some gold in here just to keep them going. There we are. Right. I think that does that. No, there's a gap somewhere. Yes, in there. Alright, never mind. So we can do this one, and this one, and that one, for sure, and that one, and that one, and that one, and that's it. Oh, it sounds like a rollicking party. I love it. Okay, we will figure out how to indicate the exterior of this whole thing. We'll get there. We'll get there. Only taken us an hour so far, and I don't think that's too bad going for the type of map that we're doing. And of course, I'm going a little bit slower because I'm describing thought processes and that kind of thing. All right, so this fills up all the way to there. Now, this must be at the edge of the mountain, yes? So we're going to do that. And now, we can fill that up. And there we go. Okay. Just got to fill up that top bit. Zoop. Pen tool. Brush tool. Do that. Bit of a dueling banjos thing going on there with the drums. Very nice. Always a fan of that kind of stuff. Right, so there's our entrance there. That's all water. There's our entrance there. There's our entrance there. Good. Right. So, now, we've pretty much got our map. And I don't think, on reflection, that that is too bad. We've got some interesting spaces there, which we now need to fill up with water. Now, of course, there's some little spots down here that I've missed in terms of building our convention, which is brush tool size 3, and we do that, and we do that. That closes off that one and that one. That's closed, that's closed, that's closed, that's closed. This is not closed. So what if this did that, and delete path, delete path. Oh, you silly munchkin. Stroke first, then delete path. All right.